everyone. I'm Jess Lavin, the Communications Director for the Massachusetts Bicycle Coalition, more often known as MassBike. MassBike is part of the Vision Zero Coalition, which is working to eliminate fatal and serious crashes on our roadways. Thanks to our partners in the legislature, we've helped advocate for an act to reduce traffic fatalities, which implemented several measures, including defining vulnerable road users in state law. Vulnerable road users is basically anyone outside of a motor vehicle. If you're walking, riding a bike, using a wheelchair, and by defining vulnerable road users, that leaves it open for future protections. And now all motor vehicle drivers need to give 4 feet when passing vulnerable road users. Many of you have probably seen the 4-foot passing signs in our municipalities. MassDOT says that they have put up over 5,000 across the state. In an act to reduce traffic fatalities, it also included implementing safety measures for large trucks. Large trucks are one of the most dangerous vehicle types on our roadways and lead to many pedestrian and bicyclist fatalities. State contracted trucks are going to have more safety measures like mirrors, backup cameras, side guards. All of these will increase safety for vulnerable users. I'm sure many of you have had the unfortunate instances of having to walk or bike near a truck and how unsettling it can be and how large they are. So we're hoping that with this state level legislation that will make it a little bit more safe on our roadways. Education is one of our priorities. While we're grateful to pass these laws, we also need education about these laws and education for drivers to drive better around vulnerable road users. MassBike is working with the Livable Streets Alliance on updating the new driver curriculum with the RMV. So all new drivers who are going to get their licenses are going to be learning about how to better drive around vulnerable road users, utilizing empathy and respect, which is we've done trainings with the MBTA and bus and truck drivers in the Boston region. So we're glad to be bringing this training to new drivers across Massachusetts. So those are just a few of our wins right now. I'm really glad to see this raised crosswalk here. I've been to this event a number of times, and it is this type of engineering that is going to save lives. So thank you.
At this point, I'm going to call our state senator, Jake Oliveri. Somewhere, I get the sun.
He's coming.
Oh, to talk about the kinds of things from the state legislature he's involved in.
Thank you so much. It's really humbling to be here today, but I'm so pleased to be joined by some of our partners at the municipal level who are going to be saying a few words a little bit later. City Council President here in the city of Springfield, Mike Fenton, thank you for being here. Cocaine Givrin from the city of Holyoke City Councilor is here. Obviously, Jesse Letterman, who is a city councilor here in Springfield and fought very hard for this crosswalk, and city council candidate Jay Latore, who are all strong advocates for safety on our roadways. And a special thank you to our law enforcement officials who are out on our roads each and every day. Thank you for being here. And I think it's important to point out that their safety and security is at risk with some of the laws that we're placing here in the Commonwealth. They're on road details every day where they're standing in the middle of traffic, and yes, they're wearing a uniform, but the amount of deaths that our law enforcement officers have had, whether it's on details or on traffic stops, is staggering here in the Commonwealth. As the folks from MassBike mentioned before, Jess had mentioned some of the work we're doing at the state level to make our roadways safer, but there's much more work to be done. When you look at how we construct our roadways in Massachusetts, most of our roadways were built over 100 years ago, meaning they are not wide. Some are wide, like here in the city of Springfield, but others are small pathways, or they were horse-drawn paths, meaning that as we rework our roadways and invest in our infrastructure, we need to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the 21st century, which means pedestrian safety, bike safety, and also safety for those that are working on our roadways and redeveloping them. That's why at the state level, we're working with Mass DOT, but also our partners in the municipality and with our construction companies, many of whom are based out of my hometown of Ludlow, as they reconstruct these roadways to put in things like bike lanes and bike paths and sidewalks so people can utilize them in safety. I walk every morning in my town of Ludlow, and I go by the dangerous intersection of the Mass Turnpike right around 7 o'clock in the morning when everybody's trying to get in and get off. Yeah. In fact, that intersection was renovated just about 8 years ago, and the crosswalk signal was not working. And so those types of updates need to be made in order to flash and warn those that are driving that there are people that are going and crossing in those roadways. In the city of Chicopee, which I have the honor of representing, the members of the Chicopee legislative delegation secured dollars for the city to put in the flashing lights for crosswalk entrances and also the raised grading to ensure that people have the ability to cross the street. But there's also the safety that folks have when they're simply trying to cross the street in order to go to a public library. You know, my dad has been taking me to this library since I was about 2 or 3 years old. And trying to cross this street was a Herculean effort a lot of times, with people racing down this roadway. We need to educate drivers, and that's why even though we passed the 4-foot law, we need to educate those new drivers and those current drivers about the dangers of not moving over. We also need to make sure that we educate folks about the future of our roadways and how important they are for pedestrian and bike safety, but also the safety for everyone else on the road. That's why working with the RMV and updating the curriculum for our new drivers and for those that are operating heavy machinery, that they understand that even if you're driving an Amazon truck or a PVTA bus or a landscaper who is parked in the middle of the road, that can disrupt the flow of traffic and cause deaths to pedestrians and bikers. I myself, when I was 11 years old, was not hurt that badly, but I was struck by a vehicle when I was in the middle of a crosswalk and got mixed signals from somebody that I thought was going to let me go and decided to step on the gas and move through that crosswalk. And I fell off my bike and scraped myself up. There are injuries that are happening day in and day out throughout this Commonwealth, but there are partners that we're working with, including Mass Bike, including the advocates, to ensure that we update our laws, and not just update our laws, but change our culture here in the Commonwealth on safety and the ability to walk and bike and participate on our roadways in a free and safe manner. Once again, it's an honor to represent this community, and it's an honor to join you here today in recognizing the victims that, for a lot of us, are completely preventable. Thank you.
At this point, I'm going to ask Mike, our City Council President, Mike Fenton. You are. The sun is such, looking in this direction, you cannot.
Thank you, Betsy, and to all of Walk Bike Springfield, Deb, Liz, Todd, all of the sister organizations that are here to raise awareness today. It's a really powerful event to stand and hear the names and the dates of those who have been injured, or in many cases, with the examples today, have lost their lives in our streets. And as the Senator said, a lot of these deaths are preventable. They're preventable through strategies that include added enforcement, redesign of our roads, and a collaborative approach to creating safe streets that are there to be used by pedestrians, bicyclists, vehicular traffic, and other public uses as well. I want to thank the Senator and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for partnering with the city on a lot of funding for traffic projects and our Chapter 90 funding. A lot of that goes into helping to make things like this crosswalk a reality today, and we're really happy to partner with our state partners in the city of Springfield to do that. I also want to thank and recognize specifically my former colleague and now District Director for Senator Ed Markey's office, Jesse Letterman. I see his beautiful wife, Famila, and his mother here. They've been a part of this event for many years, and Jesse was a part on the municipal level on the City Council continuing to raise attention for this crosswalk, and really it's something that wouldn't have been here today without his advocacy, so thank you, Jesse, for that. In Springfield, we need to do better. We need to do better at implementing crosswalks and raised speed mitigation devices, whether it's a speed hump or a speed bump or all the variety of other options that exist. This signalized crosswalk is a step in the right direction, and we are working across the city to implement other similar solutions. It was something that was not a part of the DPW's posture as recently as a few years ago, and through the advocacy of groups like this and holding events like this, we've really helped to turn the tide so that this won't be one example, it will be the first example of many other similar type solutions across the city. On a legislative basis, the City Council specifically, we've been working on this and we've implemented a residential speed hump ordinance that allows residents of the city of Springfield, even if it's not a site that is on a main thoroughfare like State Street or Sumner or Parker, but something that's a residential street that deserves attention and is resulting in speeding. We've created a solution where residents can petition the DPW and Public Works, Board of Public Works, to have speed mitigation humps placed on residential streets, which should be quiet, slowly traveled residential roads. And I'm happy to say that through those initiative petitions, we're actually in the process of constructing our first ever one off of Parker Street, which will be complete in the next few months. That was about a 3-year journey to complete that.
Oh.
Thank you. And it's just a small step of many that we need to continue to take to advance pedestrian, vehicular, and bike safety in our streets. And again, I can't thank each of you, particularly those honoring those who have fallen here today and Walk Bike Springfield, for putting this event together to continue to draw attention to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor. At this point, I want to introduce Holyoke City Councilor Givner to come up and talk about some of Holyoke. Is unfortunately, they did have 2 pedestrian fatalities this year, but prior to that have had a model record of very few fatalities in the city because of the kinds of things they've been doing.
Yep, she wins the prize.
Well, thanks so much, everyone. I'm Cocaine Givner. I'm the Ward 4 counselor for Holyoke, and as a ward counselor, I get a lot of the calls about speeding and traffic, and I've been a squeaky wheel in Holyoke for years now, so I'm really excited to be here, and I'm happy there's such a good turnout. I love the 3 E's of the engineering, enforcement, and education. It sounds so simple and obvious, yet our communities struggle to bring these common sense approaches into fruition. Although the latest data that I've found is from 2021 from MassDOT, it shows an estimated 30,000 crashes in Holyoke. Luckily, there haven't been as many fatalities. However, there's only 38,000 residents in Holyoke, so that seems kind of severe to me. And I just wanted to put that out there. I think, this is a real public health crisis, in my opinion. So I think anything that affects our city at this rate really deserves our attention, and reducing traffic incidents should be among the most and among the highest of our priorities. Thankfully, there's already plenty in the works. Our Bike and Pedestrian Committee, chaired by Kristen Sykes, does a lot of work and has come up with great ideas to, implement bike lanes and make sure there's signage, and they're working on a lot of different things like wayfinding projects in the city, so I'm happy that's happening. Our school committee has completed community walking audits to identify issues on what should be safe routes to school, so they've provided quite the report, and I'm excited about that. And Holyoke just landed 2 grants that'll help us tackle these traffic issues. There was a $50,000 grant that was recently awarded by the Commonwealth, and it is for best practices program. Mayor Garcia applied for the grant to bring about a plan or policy that he said fosters safer vehicle speeds on neighborhood streets frequented by pedestrians, bicyclists, and transit users. So that's good news. And then we got another grant, the larger of 2 grants we received, for $197,000 that came from the U.S. Department of Transportation. This is a Safe Streets for All program, and it's been allocated to local, regional, and tribal communities to improve roadway safety and prevent deaths and serious injuries. So we're excited to be granted that. So a task force is being created in Holyoke so we can really start digging into this and get information together and come up with some real action plans, because as I've heard said more than once today,